Hello, everybody. Good to be with you. So I'm just straight out of satsang. We had 37 people today, and why don't you plan on joining us? We'd love to have you, and it's a great room and a great time. It's had by all. So today I want to talk to you about the three things that you need to know in order to wake up. And those three things you will have heard of before, but we're going to look at them in a whole new way today. And when you look at this in a whole new way, some of you will wake up. So just the wake up alert is out there, is that many people will wake up when they watch this video. And every time I have said that, I get emails, boom, 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 you were right, thank you. And I get emails virtually. Got one this morning from Africa, thank you so much, right? And I don't know if he saw, I guess he saw the video, a video. I mean, there's over 200 of them, so I don't know which one he claimed reverence to. You are not the body. You are not a body. You are not any body. You're just not a physical thing, period. So you're not a thing in the sense that you are not a noun. You are not a person. You are not a place. And you are not a thing. So if you're not a thing, let's just look at this. What if we were to just sort of, let's just pretend I've seen this body disappear more than once. So it won't be a hard stretch for me, although it may be for you. But what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pretend that this body has just disappeared again. And that's a spiritual experience that you don't need to have. If you have it, great. If you don't worry about it. It's not, you don't need that or a dark night of the soul or anything else like that to wake up. You need to know three things. I'm going to tell you all three of them. First is that you are not the body. So if we just took the mystics at their words, if we just took our spiritual teachers that we've read and heard for millennia, what if we took them as what if we took them at the face value? In other words, what if I was telling you the truth right now? You are not the body. Now, suppose that's true. Just suppose it is. I know it's crazy, but just suppose it is. So you are not that body. So in the absence of that body, you cannot count the body, okay? You just can't count it. You just have to pretend it's not there, just like mine isn't. What's left? In the absence of a body, what's left here? What can you find? Well, we certainly find things, don't we? Yeah, we find a Buddha and Socrates and Ralph Waldo Emerson and books and a bookcase and paintings. And so that's just what we can see on this. That's just what I can see here looking at the screen. But I will look beyond the body. I can see there's a wall with shelves with statues all over it. It's very cool. And there are photographs of teachers and mystical this and mystical that everywhere. Okay, it looks just like a museum might if it was inhabited by a crazy man. And this is what I can see that's here that's not a body. But I'm missing the whole thing. I bet you can report a very similar thing to you. You can see the walls, the computer, you can see the lights, books, whatever. Those are the things that you can see in the absence of a body. Those are the things that you can see in the absence of a body. Hear me closely. Things. Those are the things that you can see. Now, supposing I was here just and had it in my mind that I was going to change my evil ways and tell you the truth today. So, and you're not the body. I told you you're not the body. I also said you're not a noun. You're not a person. You're not a place. You're not a thing. Okay? So, you can't be any of this stuff in here, can you? If you look around your room, can't be any of the stuff that's in that room. So in the absence of all that stuff, what's left? Well, you can't be a wall, you can't be a ceiling, you can't be a floor, because you're what? You're not a thing. You're not a thing. You're not a body, but more importantly, even more broadly, you're not a thing. I don't want to say you're a subtle thing. I don't want to say you're a gross thing, or that you are a transient thing or a transcendental thing or anything like that, but you're just not a thing at all. So I got to tell you that what I can find in here, if I'm not a thing, if there's nobody here, I'm not a thing, then what I find here is I find space. Don't you? Isn't space what all this stuff is showing up in? Isn't it? So there's no body here. I've experienced this myself. I'm sure some of you have as well. And when I say myself, it's just, we're just languaging. What notice that when the body disappeared, consciousness did not. Now, consciousness must have still been using, may have still been using the body on some level. I don't know. Because there was still the ability to see, and I don't know how you can see without a unit and without a point of view. So there may have just been some kind of thing left, but there wasn't much. In other words, I did not identify with this. I knew that this had disappeared, right? And I knew that I was still there. The last time this happened, Betsy and her parents and I were, back when they were alive, we were all out to dinner. This happened last year. And I went to the bathroom for something and the body disappeared. Next thing I know, I'm going, hey, this is great. I'm in an Olive Garden. Could you do this later and more at my convenience? But eventually, you know, the body came back and I got out of there. But in between the time that I walked in there and I noticed the body disappeared, and the time that between the time that happened and the time that it showed back up, I was always there. I never left the room. I was aware that there was no body here, and I was aware that that was problematic for the body. But it wasn't problematic for me. I didn't have any problems. I mean, how many problems can you find if you're not the body? Don't you sort of have to make them up? So, you're not a thing. We find space. But this space doesn't have any form. Did anybody ever tell you that you were the unborn? But this space doesn't have any substance. And in the absence of substance, it doesn't come and go, does it? There we go. Mr. Anal saw a light on that should have been off. These units do what they do. I didn't make any difference, video or not. Bah! Change that. So I find this space. That's all I can find. And who is finding the space? Well, there's nobody here. Oh, consciousness is finding the space. How about that? So consciousness is now noticing space, which it never, ever does in its ordinary life. You're not a body. You're nobody at all. The only thing left that you can be, really, in the absence of all objects, is you can only be space. I mean, that's just what it looks like. I mean, if we were to take these people literally instead of figuratively, and when they say you're not the body, instead of us trying to figure out what the hell that means with our great big intellectual brains, what if we were to just note the obvious? Look at this. There's only space here. Everything else comes and goes, does it not? What is the one thing that doesn't come and go? Hello, they tell you, look for that which doesn't come and go. And we go looking for a thing that doesn't come and go. That's what I did, I swear to God. They told me, Fred, don't look for that which doesn't come and go. And I didn't realize that I had turned that which doesn't come and go into a thing, but I had. I turned it into a thing, and I went looking for that thing. I had turned that which does not come and go into a noun. I mean, how is that? But I did. I turned it into a noun. I went looking for that noun, but I never could find it. And then one day I noticed, oh, this doesn't come and go. Everything in it comes and goes. These things pass through time. That thing's old as hell, but it's not going to be here forever. Wasn't here forever in that form, and won't be here forever in any form. All of this is just passing through, right? These are just passing through. To a mountain, we have a gnat's life, if that. I mean, you just take a human lifetime and put it up against geologic time. You can't even measure it. It just isn't even measurable, I don't believe. Almost not, anyway. Just the super mathematicians in the room. So let's leave that. Let's go to number 2. And the second thing that we can notice is that you're not a name. See, I always assumed that I was this body, that I was a Fred Davis, and Fred Davis was this body. That was my assumption. I put Fred Davis and this body together. There was no doubt. I mean, I didn't know, and I wanted very badly for Fred to wake up. You probably want very bad for your make-believe character to wake up too. But just notice the words I just used there, make-believe. So if you have a make-believe character over there, can it wake up? Can it go to sleep? Can a make-believe character get a girlfriend or buy a house or have a heart attack? What can a make-believe character do? Well, it can't do anything because it's make-believe. It's imaginary, right? It's imaginary. So, Fred, if I'm not a name, I can't be a Fred. And since I can't be a Fred, then there's no possibility. I mean, if there's no Fred, and there isn't, if I'm not a Fred, you are not your name. You are not any other name either. You are that which cannot be named. That's what you are. But understand, even on the most base level, that you are not this name. This is not a Fred Davis. It looks like you're talking to a Fred Davis. It looks like you've tuned into Fred Davis' YouTube channel, and as you go to Fred Davis's website, and you do this and that and the other, and it's all bullshit. None of it's true. Not the first lick of it's true. Within relativity, it's true. But what we're doing here is moving beyond relativity. Because if we could figure out the absolute from the position of the relative, we'd have done so years ago, wouldn't we? There's people that are watching this that are much smarter than I am. There are people, not a lot. Says Fred, you see that? God almighty. I mean, he's incorrigible. I mean, it's embarrassing, but notice that identification just pop up like that. But there are people that are watching this that are smarter than I am. There are certainly many, many people who are watching this that have been in non-duality longer than I have. I have been studying Zen and then moved into what we call non-duality, but Zen, trust me, is non-duality, and for 34 years. So I've been around it for a very long time. But there are people that I've woken up who had 40, 50, 60 years. I've had 2 people who had 70 years on the seeker's trial. And they did not wake up until they woke up with me, and it took them about 45 minutes each. It's insane. But understand that I'm not saying, when I say when they spent that much time with me, I'm not talking about Fred Davis. I mean, that's what they came to see. That's what they could see was a Fred Davis. But that there was no Fred Davis here for them to see, and there was no Fred Davis that was looking at them. There was only a awakeness looking at awakeness. There was only oneness looking at oneness. That's what I'm trying to point to here. And I'm not even pointing to it. I'm just laying it out there really straight. How can I be more plain, right? The Zen master thrusts his stick against the floor. Boom, boom, boom. This is Zen. And all the students are wondering, what does that mean? What does that mean? It doesn't mean anything. It means boom, boom, boom. This is Zen. But I understand if you don't catch that. That's fine. Don't be embarrassed. I didn't catch it either until I did. So what kind of information do you think I might have that these people that have been on the path 40, 50, 60 years, 70 years don't have? What do you think? I don't have any information they don't have, I guarantee you. Most of them have been to India, or many of them. When they're that old, they've been on the trail that long, trust me, they've been to India. They've been to India more than once. They may have gone to Japan to study Zen. They may have gone to the Himalayas or Himalayas, however you pronounce that. I think either is correct. When they might go to those mountains to become hermits in a cave or something like that. I mean, they've done some pretty extraordinary things, most of them that have been on the path for that long. They've tried pretty much everything. You got to figure they had to be very desperate to say, you know what, I'm at the end of my rope. I'm so desperate, I'm even going to give this guy a shot. I'm going to give this laughing hyena, this foolish old man, I'm going to give him a shot. That's how desperate I am. I get it. Right? I do. I wouldn't have believed me either. So you're not a name. Where does your name come from? Didn't somebody train you to start using that name? Haven't you trained others to use that name? Isn't that what you do? Because you go throughout life, don't you train people to call this unit Fred? It seems like and when we know, and when lots and lots of units know this as Fred, we say I'm well connected. We say Fred is well connected, but there's no Fred there. There's just no Fred there. You are not a name. There's no Fred at all. So whatever it is talking to you cannot possibly be a Fred. And what's talking to you is most certainly not a Fred. And I actually can talk to you only upon the absence of Fred. See, Fred kept waiting for awakeness, conscious awakeness, to show up in the presence of Fred, but that can't happen. Conscious awakeness can only happen in the absence of Fred. You are not a name. Fred is a belief. It's an idea. It's a story. And it's not attached to anything. We glom them onto this, but there's no relationship, really. No true relationship between this, what's talking to you, and Fred, or this, what's talking to you, and this body. We think of this as the Fred unit. Might as well got to call it something. Call it Fred. Fine with me. But you're not a name. The third thing is that you're not a brain. Now, I have several neuroscientists who are students of mine, and they study consciousness and all of that. And it's wonderful work, and they can tell you how the brain does this and how the brain does that. They're much smarter than I am. And they know more math than I do, although math impresses me. So, but they don't actually look for the source of the brain. They look for the source of thought. They look for the source of the mind. They just assume that there's a mind here. and they look for the source of that mind. And that source of that mind is going to be Fred, isn't it? Right? That's Fred's mind. Must be a Fred in here because he's claiming that that's his head, that that's his brain. Well, you are not a body, and a brain is part of the body, so give it up. You're not a body. You're not a brain. You're not a thought. Betsy, I'm recording. So, what are you? Well, in the absence of those three things, you're not a body, you're not a name, and you're not a brain. You don't even run that brain. You don't even have a brain. If you ever thought, well, that guy there, he is brainless, you're right. Don't let anybody tell you different. He is brainless. There's a brain over here, but it's not mine. It's not the thing that's talking to you. I don't pick and choose like that. I really don't. Why would I want to be identified with one mind when I'm all minds? That's what I am. Actually, I'm beyond that. That's just a start. Most people can't get that, but it really is just the start. But it's a great start. It's a big start. We call it enlightenment, so let's not play it down too much. And in truth, I call it awakening, and I call enlightenment. I equate enlightenment with abidance, and I didn't 10 years ago when there was no abidance here, but I do now. And so there you have it. I'm sure you don't want to hear it. I didn't want to hear it, but I heard it, and I was actually raising my hackles, but it turned out to be true. So if you are not a body, a name, or a brain, what can you possibly be? Because see, notice what we're looking for, what we're doing here is we're not finding body, name, brain. What we're doing is we're subtracting them. That's why awakening is a process of subtraction, not addition. So subtract these things, subtract body, subtract name, subtract brain. So what's left? What's left here? Well, here is left here, is it not? So that sense of being that you are here is not the sense of being an entity that believes it is here within this constructed world. Your sense of being here is your sense is that you are here. You are the here-ness of here. You are all of this. You are here. There's nothing but here. And since there's nothing but here, guess what you are? Can't be anything else, can you? You're here, and when are you here? Well, I count now. There's really, you are the timeless experiencing time, but it doesn't, nothing in time affects you. You're beyond time. You're actually beyond space. We would say spaciousness if I wanted to be completely correct, but space will work. It's not quite so heady to where we get lost. You are beyond time and space. Time and space occur, we could say, inside of you. But inside of you doesn't make much sense if there's no outside to you. And since there's just here, I can't find an outside here. I can't find a boundary to here. And I can't find a center to here. See, this thing, I always thought it was the center of here, but it's not. This is just a body, which I, zapped out of the room some time ago. But now it's back. And it thinks that as soon as it came back, the first thing it thought of was, well, okay, good. I'm right back in the middle of things. Then I look up, I look down, I look this way, I look that way. I'm always in the middle. Well, after 2 hours of satsang and this video, I'm talked out. And so I'm going to leave you now, not because I'm through, but because I can't get through. So I'm going to abandon my work with you today. I will return. I hope that you do. If you want to support this teaching, how about hitting like? How about subscribing? Those things would help this teaching. It helps. It lets YouTube know that people are paying attention, and they will spread it further in their in-house advertising, because you can't afford to advertise on YouTube. But they'll advertise for you for free if you do a really good job. Okay, have a good now, and I'll see you later now. Bye-bye.